through the Pro Tools edit window. We'll talk about the transport and just this basic section here. Over here we have what's called the MIDI controls, and they're kind of related to the transport as well. First, actually, since I said that, if you go to Window, Transport, you'll see a floating transport. Sometimes it's very cool to be able to have it. You'll notice that the MIDI tools are attached. You can bring up other things like synchronization, which we're not going to do, but that essentially means if you are having some other machine trigger the start of Pro Tools or other systems in general. Get rid of the counter or add the counter in different views. Okay, in any case, I'm going to close this because it's the same thing that's up here. I'll leave it there. Come back, I see some details that might be worth me talking about. All right, I'm going to skip this button here. I'm going to press it, but it says Pro Tools cannot be put online while count off mode, meaning online with another piece of machinery establishing a start time or the start of something, playback. Count off mode happens to be right there. I'll get there in a minute. This looks like, or should look like, just about any transport you have on a piece of gear or piece of software that you've used before. You know, iTunes has play and stop and all these different things. But basically, stop. Press this button if you want your track to stop. Press this button if you want it to play. Okay, I want it to stop. I want it to play. This little loop here, critical. I'm going to turn it off for a moment and come over to Options, Loop Playback. It's checked off. I'm going to uncheck it. That disappears. Now it's simply a play button. Record. If I press this right now, it's going to tell me, well, it's telling me I'm ready to record. But like old school, which means nothing to you, but when I was a kid, we took out our tape decks and we hit record and play. So if I hit play, it's going to tell me, well, you have no tracks. These are tracks ready to be or enabled to be recorded on. So you need to tell a track that you're also ready. And if you hit record, it's going to count off because of the count off mode that I haven't explained yet. And now it's recording. It's not recording anything, but it's showing me that that little bit of time was recorded indeed. All right. Play record. Back to the beginning. So if you're here and say, all right, let's listen from the top. You can click on that and you're back at the beginning again. This button, jumping to the similar one on the other side, goes to the end. Basically the end of the clip that has, you know, furthest along the timeline. You want to rewind just a little bit, you can do it with that button, and fast forward a little bit with this button. Now, I think this may have been the first time that I ever pressed any of these buttons on the bottom here. Main reason for return to beginning, on your keyboard, the return key or the enter key, return key, does that for you. And in terms of rewinding or fast forwarding, that's what your mouse can do. Oh, by the way, you haven't seen me click on play. The space bar on your keyboard triggers playback. Okay. There is nothing else to talk about in that. Oh, yes, there is. I love doing these things. Loop playback. Okay, so in options, I'm going to turn loop playback back on, and it's really important for music making, especially if you're into hip hop or electronic music. It really isn't that important in live music, you know, jazz, rock, country, whatever it might be. but in editing it is. Anyways, loop playback. You have a selection. I'll make it short.
Without it, she told me you'll never go. Without it.
So any selection you have, it plays it in a loop. Okay, so I have this. Also, this goes for clips as well. All right, so loop playback is pretty important because, for example, this little part here, it repeats over and over again. And I don't want to listen necessarily just to, is it right? Are the notes right? Do I want to listen to, 4 measures of it? Or actually, this is what, almost 10 measures of it, 15 measures? Or can I just focus in on this one? That was an accident. Okay, so there's all kinds of different reasons. Now, a little bit more about the transport, and this one has to do with the floating transport because these are some things that are actually not visible here. So first of all, start, end, and length, the same as the start, end, and length in your counter. So again, all those things are the same. Now, pre-roll is used for punching in. If you hit pre-roll, what you're essentially doing is postponing playback, or it's playing back. It's it's taking your cursor and putting it before the beginning of the clip, in this instance by a couple beats. And post-roll, same concept. It adds a little bit before. And it's used for punching in, something that you'll learn in more advanced applications. All right, now there's really nothing left to talk about in terms of the transport.